Batman number 6, written by Scott Snyder, art by Greg Capullo. We left off last issue with Batman being stuck in this labyrinth and then being attacked by one of the Talons in the end with a blade pretty much straight through his stomach. This issue, pretty much all one fight scene, like it's the big climax more or less. So, picks up right where we left off. Talon has stabbed him through the stomach and goes through the whole spiel of, oh, Batman, the Court of Owls has sentenced you to die, and you will be left here in this maze as a testament for blah, 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 blah. And as Talon is essentially beating the ever-loving crap out of Batman and he's finally just on his last legs, he holds Batman up and presents him to the Court of Owls to say, all right, how do you want me to kill him? And we see all of these just really grotesque-looking people. At least that's how Batman sees them. Just saying like, ooh, break his neck, bleed him out, blah, blah, blah. And then we see one of the people suggests that the child decide, because there's just this little girl there for some reason. And the little girl just says, hurt him more. So the Talon just keeps beating on Batman through and through. And eventually the Court of Owls themselves literally all descend on Batman and they start, prying and pecking at him, as owls tend to do. And Batman looks over and he sees the photo of Alan Wayne. And he's like, okay, well, I don't want to end up looking like him, just begging for help, so time to get this over with. And he just explodes off all these guys. And you see this scale where it looks like Batman himself is this monster compared to all the rest of them. And Talon's like, well, all right, you still got some fight in you. And he keeps on trying to fight with Batman. And Talon keeps on saying things of like, owls and bats. And Batman just interrupts and he's like, all I know is that I am sick to death of owls. And he goes and he starts really laying it on to Talon and really landing some good hits. And he forces Talon through a wall into the room with the scale model of Gotham. And he's like, this isn't the city. You don't lord over the city. You're just a hired goon. No matter what they tell you, no matter what you tell yourself, you're just a hired thug. And I'm going to beat the crap out of you. And he kicks him through another wall, essentially knocking him out. And then Batman calls up to the Court of Owls and he's like, okay, here's the thing. I know this city. And every time I went to that fountain, despite the fact I know it was drugged, I could taste these certain minerals that I also know only apply in this specific part of this river in Gotham. So we must be underneath that. And he also points out how the floor is of a different or is of a different consistency than the walls and are easier to bomb their way through. So because of all his knowledge of rivers and caves and stuff like that, and he takes the photosensitive plate from that camera, he manages to makeshift the tiny little explosion that can get through the floor of the main room down into a cave system underneath where this river runs. And he calls up and he's like, and I will be back for you, Court of Owls, mark my words, as he goes down into this river. And as soon as he gets down there, he's like, I am never going back. Oh, I just need to focus on living for right now. And he swims his way down the river, and as he gets to a certain point down, he sees that there is either glass or ice or something that's blocking the top of the river surface, and he doesn't have enough strength to break his way through, so he just starts falling down into the deeper depths. And then we see this very elderly Court of Owls lady who I guess is in charge, and they're just asking, all right, what should we do with this Talon? And he's like, throw him away. He's like, well, we don't have to throw him away. Kind of our whole thing is that we can reuse him. He'll heal. And she's like, no, he's been traumatized. He's not going to be the same fighter he was pre-Batman. Don't worry, we have plenty more. And they go into the room with all the coffins and the pictures. And she says, all right, time to wake up all these Talons. And that's where we leave off on the issue. Like I said, short issue, but it achieved what it needed to do. The entire first 3-4 pages were Batman genuinely like, nah, I'm done. I die here. This is it. He's pretty much given up. But then he gets that second wind as soon as he sees his great-grandfather's face, I believe. So, no, it's a very well-written issue. It just goes by quickly. Art-wise, again, pretty good. There are a couple issues I have in terms of it's still a bit he throws this Talon through a wall and then like they're just back into like it. He throws them through a wall into a dark area, but then where the Talon lands is just in the central hall area. A couple little inconsistencies here or there, but in terms of what is actually in Batman's mind, his sleep deprived and barely alive mind, compared to reality, I'm willing to give that a pass. So overall, it's not the biggest issue, especially because I opened the saying it's kind of the climax, but it's just the climax to that maze thing. It's the climax to him losing his mind. I feel like all the talents being up is definitely the big climax. So overall, it's like a 7. The art again hasn't faltered. It's very well done throughout. Not as stylistic as it was in the last issue, but it's still pretty good. Cover overall, love that. Just had to bring that up. That used to be my phone wallpaper for a while. But yeah, no, it's a 7, and we got one more issue left in this trade, but it's definitely feeling like a big bang for the Court of Owls as a concept overall. They're really doing good things with them. So I'm interested to see where it goes from here, and we will pick up on that next month.